All right, Andy, please join us. Yeah, and we can hit public comments after that again, if I remember.
Oh, okay, okay.
Extras for anybody who wants to be at the end of the table over there. Sorry.
Yeah, well.
Need one?
Yeah,
Does you need one?
he will. I've got it. Oh, you got his? Yeah, I'll take one. I'll take one for Ted. Those are, let me grab one of each for Ted.
There's probably two. Certainly Jimmy Kit.
Thank you. Okay.
So I'll start with the comment to question that Cody asked. It is possible to establish essentially a gross and a net acreage there, so that you set the minimum lot size based on the net, where you exclude things. Common things are road right of ways and the federally designated floodplains. We've seen others, like utility right of way, things like that. It can be done. Thank you. Wasn't as common as it is now. So.
But we'd have to rewrite it. I mean, we don't have that in
Right.
now.
That was kind of, I didn't think ours was that specific, I just
Yeah.
wanted to verify.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
There are options that if you wanted to exclude certain things from that minimum lot size, you can do it by setting.
I think he was just, the guy asked me was concerned that there's about only an acre that could have a building on it and the rest really can't. I wasn't sure if that was correct.
And what's the rule? Yeah, got it. Okay.
The example we always put up is Cow Valley. There's a ton of lots down there. They're simply, they exist on paper, but they are.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
They're on, yeah, they're on.
Yeah. So, I'm going to skip the data center stuff until last.
Okay, that's good.
Where we left it last time was some discussions about the commercial zones and things like that. And there was a question came up about what impact does changing the zoning map have on assessed value?
Right.
So I asked the tax office, and the director of the tax office got back to me. And what he says here is, by itself, change in zoning does not affect the assessed values, because the county is only permitted to change the assessed values under certain conditions. And changes in zoning is not one of those conditions by itself.
Okay.
There are two situations where it could change, and one of them is an action the property owner would take, and another is the action the county would take. If the county does a countywide reassessment, whatever the zoning at the time is, that changes. So if it changed between assessments, then that could change.
Okay.
The other thing is property owners can appeal their assessed value. If they appeal, then the conditions at the time take effect.
Okay.
So it goes from something you think changes the value, you could appeal and it goes down. Certainly a change could appeal it and go up too. I don't know why anybody would do that, but but that's that you have, they would, if the zoning changes, the absent of a full county levy assessment, the property owner themselves would have to trigger it for it to happen. Now, eventually, you think there will be a reassessment and it'll get triggered. But when that is, who knows? I mean, Franklin County is still, is going on 60 years and still waiting for one. So ours is what, 2010, 2011, something like that. So that's that. It's part of that assessment and appeal process is when changes in zoning would take effect. So now I'm guessing there's more details to it than that very high level response he gave me, but that was the feedback that he provided to me for that part to answer that question.
So I've got a, well, conditional no, it isn't purely no.
Correct.
But one question I have is, as I understand it, if your zoning changes, let's say from agricultural to commercial, that, and you're in clean and green, you can't be in clean and green anymore. That's my understanding, so somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say you're in clean and green in your agriculture, or something in clean and green, I don't care what it is.
I don't think.
That if you get rezoned into commercial, that you lose your clean and green by definition. You
I
can't be-
think you have a point, because I'm going through that now at our place. We bought the 14 acres behind my house. It's been clean and green all these years.
Yeah,
My dad's property is considered commercial to the county because of the business and the size of the building that's on it.
okay.
And as long as that is commercial, if I put the 14 acres to his lot, I cannot be in clean and green because of that. So I think you're right on that.
I will ask.
And that was
Yeah,
directly from
Okay,
your big, whoever's in charge of that.
Yeah, I will ask.
please do.
Because
That's a significant factor where you can say, well, it doesn't really change the assessed value. Okay, so that's.
Double the taxes.
Yeah, that's right. But who cares? Because you just got whacked.
I mean, one of the question be, would you have to
Situation,
Hold
do
on.
your,
but you're talking about a sizable lot that's already in clean and green being taken out,
Correct.
whereas he's talking about a new lot going in.
I understand.
Yeah, but
I-
I'll bet it works.
Yeah, I'm with you, Paul, but I think the outcome is the same.
That could
Yeah.
very well
I
be.
think it's
Yeah.
the commercial
I
part.
take your
that
point, but I
ruins
think the outcome
It
is,
doesn't sound like it should, but the outcome may be the same.
yeah.
I will ask.
All right.
I would say there are a lot of things in the clean and green law itself that may or may not have been enforced certain ways.
There's a
years-
lot that
years in the
aren't being
past.
enforced right now.
Right,
It only
there's,
takes,
we've seen some things that have come up that it's in the law. Maybe hasn't been done that way in the past, maybe it should have been done that way in the past. That's raising some questions. It's not quite as easy to stay in clean and green when things change as it used to be. And I suspect that it's part of the law that was simply may or may not have been being enforced
Yeah.
correctly
Yeah.
in the past. It may have always been that way, but it might.
But it wasn't enforced.
Yeah, but it's still substantial. I will ask.
Okay.
And find.
Ron, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, on that there, if they're gonna force him to take that 14 into commercial, are they gonna do the 7-year look back on that clean and green parcel?
well, it's not gonna turn it into commercial, but yes, I have to pay the back. I have to pay
That's
the
how I
7 years
understand it
back
as well.
tax.
I don't want to answer his
And that's
specific.
small, imagine if you got, I mean, look
That's
how much
it.
ground you guys got.
You know, 14 acres is a good bit of money on 7 years.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's why I don't want to answer Cody's specific situation because I don't know.
No, and I'm not trying
Yeah.
to put I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I've looked
but-
into that and I think.
But
you're-
yes is your answer.
Yeah, because that's
In
the
general,
law.
your answer is potentially yes. That's what I want to get my arms around because, look, I've dealt in these situations, not here, But I've dealt with these situations in zoning changes where then there is, now I've lived in places where they reassess more frequently. But suddenly you reassess and you find out the assessor says, hey, when this was residential X, it was worth 250,000, now it's commercial, and it's big enough that you can put the Walmart, whatever it is, and now it's 750,000. Well, you get rained on very fast in that situation, and I'm not talking about the weather. So what I would say is, I'd like to understand the clean and green, and that's why, Kyle, I kind of made the point of, even if it's generally true, you don't get a tax situation, it's not categorically true, because then you can end up in a reassessed situation or something like that. So that's I don't want to create situations where we have wonderful ideas about planning and we ruin the lives of 10 of our residents. I'm not interested in that. So, I'm only one person. I know you're not interested either, but I'm not, especially the way I framed it. But I'm only one person, but that's the kind of stuff I want to make sure that we understand when we go into this discussion. So,
Aren't we asking, Cody's with an owner wanting to change something. What we want to know is, isn't it if we change the zoning and the owner doesn't want it, didn't request that, that's what I'm interested in.
Well, that's the question that I asked.
Yes, that's the one I want answered.
I do want to make sure that the township changing the zoning doesn't impact clean and green there. What I suspect the answer I might get back from the way you posed it, it relates less to the township zoning and more to what.
Well, right, and that would be the better situation. It's up to the owner at that point, but I don't want what we do here to end up, and the landowner doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, forced rezoning.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
We don't want farmland to end up getting kicked out of, when they've done nothing with it. I don't want that to happen.
Right, that I
Now your tax
understand.
is triple.
Just like
I wouldn't want to know what tax
They're-
on 400 acres. is.
Their list of land use codes that they apply there is long.
they being the county
assessment.
assessment.
And it could very well be that it's one of those land use codes that's the trigger more so than the tax zone, but I'll confirm.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've tortured you enough with that question.
That.
All right, we're running out of ways to ask.
That's, it's an issue that we've had to deal with in several.
And it's an
programs.
issue I've run into in other places.
Okay, so we talked about a few changes to the character areas here. This, and I'll use my handy little slider that my GS people did for me. This is the one that we showed last month. So, and we'll go over here slowly for the changes. So you're here up here by the NOS plant where we're making it into the red. Then big changes down here towards Tyrone Township and Heidlersburg, where you just go from that little gray area there focused around basically 15 and White Church, and something that's a different area that's more reflective of the current commercial area down there. So those are really the two changes. In the text here is the rural mixed use, the rural commercial, and then the commercial industrial that I've rewritten there to reflect these where rural mixed use, it's like the rural residential district with the essentially be a handful of more rural related uses, things like pad uses, contractor uses, those sort of things that would be in there. Maybe some like larger home-based businesses. Rural commercial is more of a light highway commercial, where you allow some, given the proximity to Heidelsburg, you will theoretically allow some residential, other place residential down there, plus some larger commercial and industrial stuff that has, doesn't need access to 15. So you would, everybody allow commercial, but take out some of the more obnoxious uses in terms of impacts from that. And then the commercial industrial would be combining the two, those two, instead of being separate, it's into one there, and with some descriptions of what some standards you would put in there to try to protect the access, the roads, and some of the visual elements and separations and things like that. So, it seemed like the discussion last time was heading more towards that, where we do a combined commercial industrial setting to include Nous and the areas around the interchange 94, and then basically splitting the 15 Old Harrisburg Road frontage into that middle section is more of a rural mixed use, and then a light commercial down towards Heidelsburg. The other thing that they had in here that I forgot to do the last time was the adjacent zoning.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I actually do have the ones up in Cumberland County. I'll pull up in a second here.
Okay.
But you can kind of see here, starting up by Nous, you see Ontario Township, starts off as a little bit of their residential district, and then industrial. You kind of see how much Nous is split between the two municipalities.
Is that all them? That,
I don't want to say completely, but it's mostly.
Most all of it.
Now, there's a handful of Nous owned properties in your township on the north side of the area we have that circle there. But that is, and I've talked with our ag people, that is mostly their in-house farms. Yeah, for areas.
Probably, that's their one, back of the slab, they have an orchard. And then up in Cumberland County, they have a reservoir. They also, in Cumberland County, have a spray fields. Across the railroad tracks, reservoir, I guess that's Tyrone. They have farm ground over there too.
Then as you come down the border, you see it's mostly in their AP1 district, which again, they have two. They have another one down here this is their fruit ag district, and this is their Hillendale ag district.
Okay.
Is the best way to
yeah.
describe it.
Yep.
And you see that they up here, it again matches your northern part here, that's heavily orchard, is in ag. They have a little more non-ag residential scattered in there as you get closer to Heidelsburg. But it's still pretty close to what you have on your side. You get down here towards the village of Heidelsburg. They have some residential around that where they have sewer, and then their highway commercial that goes out to 15. I believe when they did their zoning, a big zoning amendment last year, they added some of the warehouse data centers, things like that, into that district. I know they're looking at their industrial district as well, but I think they split them between the two.
Do they want data center?
I don't think it's wanting; it's more accommodating there. And I forget precisely what they did, but I think we recommended against putting warehouses up in the industrial because the roads up there aren't really capable. You don't want that sort of traffic up there. You want it
Started off with apple trucks going up there,
Oh,
though.
nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Delivery trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they expand their highway commercial at all, or is it what it was?
That's what it was. So now, they might have extended in the past, that amendment.
Yeah.
That was just adding
Yeah,
some
okay.
things. Then you go down along 234, and it's again residential, and it's their other ag district, which is the same, except it allows the industrial animal operations down there. So now whether that meets the acre law is a different story. They have been challenged, so it's kind of falling under the nothing's illegal unless you get caught sort of approach. Which, to be fair, there's a lot of solicitors out there that take that approach with some big uses. You know, we're not going to allow it, but if we get challenged, we'll let the courts and the applicant decide where it's going to go. I don't know, we don't particularly recommend that approach, but we're also not attorneys. Then you come up here on the Reading Township side, and again, it's their ag conservation district, with a little bit of their equivalent of the rural residential areas. They swing around here into Lattimore, and again, it's in their ag conservation district. They have two. I think this one over here is where they're easy to. That's where they permit their industrial animal operations.
Who is that, Lattimore or Red?
Lattimore.
Okay.
Again, I don't know if that passes the acre law test, but they have been challenged. Their ag district is a little funky. They have a reset in there after 7 years, after you subdivide your last lot, it can be reset. It's a little weird. Then as you get closer to 15, it's again it's where their commercial industrial setting is. You get on the north side of York Springs. That's where their residential area is. And then as you go up, their side of 94 is back into their ag district up to the county line. Where is that? So up here in Cumberland County, you have Dickinson over here and South Middleton over here. Get down here into South Middleton, it's all in their ag conservation zone. I couldn't find the zoning ordinance online, but I'm guessing from what I'm seeing here, that's the equivalent of your ag district. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Dickinson, I mean, it's in their ag district. Based on what I'm seeing there, it's most likely something similar to what you have now, or at most it's a different version of the ag zone that we have. So. Based on that, characteristics we have here, they're not far off. The ones that that I would say for discussion, is down here at Heidelberg, is the scope of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see how compact.
Yeah.
Their Tyrone's is around the interchange.
Yep.
And how expansive yours is there now. And then.
But their side of the interchange is so different than our side of the interchange.
Right. And you have to, you have, from your properties, they have to go through their township to get to it.
Yeah.
So it's a very unique situation.
Yep.
And then this area over here is do you want to extend do anything like this over here on 94 from basically Baltimore Road and the school campus north to Quaker Church. it has the advantage of road access and flat
Yeah.
proper, and large properties
There's a
to
lot of
accommodate
advantages
those
of that.
things.
Yeah.
It's also, kind of sticks out a little bit. The utilities aren't there. So it's discuss, it
You
will be
mean,
discussion.
sticks out because of what surrounds it? Is that your point?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
kind of-
that's a fair point, yeah,
Isolated then for.
yeah.
Yeah.
But compared to this setting here,
Yeah.
it's more readily usable for
Yeah,
those
it
uses than
is,
this.
it is.
But again, you have to provide for every use. You don't have to provide for every use in a way that guarantees it can be developed.
Well, and that's how I look at this whole thing, is we need to have what we have to stay out of legal challenges if these things come in, but I don't think we need to go gung ho and making it bigger than that, really. So we need to provide for it to keep us out of legal issues, but I don't think we gotta go.
Yeah, be ready for them and don't go looking for them.
So-
Don't entice them to
No.
come here, but if they choose to, not have ourselves in a
Right.
pinch where we can't do anything about it.
So there's a couple things that to think about and that's good, that's a good perspective to take. There's a couple things to think about with that. The uses that are of the day, that are the ones that are most likely to cause consternation: utility scale solar, data centers, warehouses. You got for the warehouses, you got the crossroads, a significant one there, but the utilities are questionable and the geography
Yeah.
isn't conducive. If you, depending on what standards you use, like minimum lot size, you have to make sure that the property is big enough for what you set it to do that. As long as you, like I said, you have to provide for it. You don't have to guarantee that it can be developed. Now, does that mean that there won't be an enterprising developer attorney to challenge that? No, of course not. But that's, up until this point, that's been the rule of thumb that we and most solicitors would follow. So, as long as there's something, if there's enough in this, you draw this part here, enough to encompass properties that can meet whatever standards we put for that use, those uses, then you probably don't need this. If you wanted to do something over here, you could make it something like this, where you scale back what it is, or you just do nothing. That's the reason that we highlight this here is because you have a couple of uses in there that it's a scattering of things, and it has a couple of the components of what those sort of uses would need. So, but if you're okay with the descriptions here of the zoning district, potential zoning districts, the next steps would be to turn this into an actual, instead of the rough circles, into an actual zoning
Define
map
it.
with parcels.
Yeah.
There, where we'd be attempting to draw hard lines on some of this stuff. So, and typically what we do there is we'll develop a couple of different scenarios. One that I was thinking of today as I was reviewing here, if we have this area here that's sort of that, I'll call it Neverland of Old Harrisburg Road, that's, okay, it's not really up here at the commercial, it's not really the rural part, it's kind of, there's all strip housing and other stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then you have this area over here that has this business over here, and similar, this yellow area here could easily be incorporated into this gray area there without any problem. We'd probably do a couple different scenarios there to look at and refine and go from there. We spend a lot of time on the map first, because that's the first entry point for everybody into the ordinance. That's the first thing people look at. It's the part that gets the most comment when you go out to the public process, review process of it. So it seems like you're spending a lot of time with this, so I am, because it's an important step to make sure that you're fully comfortable with what we're working with here before we go into the details of the uses and dimensional standards.
So a couple comments I have is, one of our challenges that is much less of an issue in Tyrone is our intersections. Well, actually, one of the intersections is Tyrone's intersection, is one of our bad ones. And when you look at the north end of Old Harrisburg, coming down into York Springs, that's a very difficult intersection if we were to add more commercial along Old Harrisburg. Still might make sense, I'm not saying, I strongly oppose it. The other thing is, when you drop down to the southern end, we have, some of what you have circled there is not even off of White Church, it's off of Gun Club. And one of those, and I know that well, Kyle, your mother's there, I'm there, and it doesn't make any sense to include some of Gun Club into this.
Oh, that's wetland down in there.
It's a whole different deal, and it's entirely different. And if you want add another bad intersection, add the Gun Club intersection.
Yes, that's got some side killers.
It's already been worked on once. They mowed it down. How long ago was that now? That's
Who knows, before my time.
And that's a
It's
great.
been 8 or 10 years.
Let me jump in here quick, Tom.
Go ahead.
It's a great example of the difference between the character technique, where it's being very general, and
Right.
the map specific. If I'm turning this into a zoning map district, I'm probably drawing the line like this. Maybe out around that property. So I'm
Yeah.
going.
I take your point.
You're staying
Yeah,
west of.
you're saying what's accessible off of White
Yeah.
Church.
And
Yeah.
when you turn this into zoning maps.
Yes,
Our first step is we try to use roads and property lines as boundaries.
yeah,
We try very hard not to split a property into, like, if a property crosses the road, that's one thing.
yeah,
But splitting a property, just random line down the middle of it,
Yeah.
we try to avoid that because it is an enforcement nightmare.
yes. And it becomes a problem eventually. Every one of these that's split has been, some of them have been a problem just in my short time here. So you're right, I'd oppose that vigorously.
Like the last one we did was down in Hamilton Township, right behind Scripple Signs, where we're rezoning it, but there were business uses in front of it,
Yeah,
and we're rezoning it ag because some Amish people bought it. But we wanted to keep like two little properties. I think it's where the gym, the fitness operation is there, or whatever it is,
yeah,
on Cedar Road. We wanted to keep those connected into it. So we had drew a line from a corner of one property to a corner of another that split the frontage there off, so it was connected, and we didn't have spot zoning. But we still picked a point to a point
yeah,
there that was defined at the time, and you could find it through deed research if it ever got subdivided.
yeah.
But other than that, we try to avoid that. What you see up here splits property lines, no doubt about it. But it would be much more narrowly drawn.
This was just an idea, here at the vicinity. We need to take like if we want to do down there, the pink, the purple, do that and focus on that and then go to the next one.
Yeah,
We shouldn't have any problem with splitting. I think we can follow most of the parcel lines from what I was looking at over the past couple of weeks. Between the roads and parcel lines, we shouldn't run into any splitting issues, really.
well, and I would say this, and again, I'll preface by the one person comment. I would rather have a small data center than a solar field. And small data centers are very efficient, they don't use nearly the types of things that the big ones use, all the bad stuff you've seen written are big data centers. And I'd rather have a small data center than a warehouse. You don't have the truck traffic, you don't have some of the other dirt that comes with a warehouse. So I think that's part of our thinking too, is sizing some of this stuff. We don't want to create a situation where the massive data center says, oh, that looks great. If we don't want it, again, I throw in my condition, if we don't want it, I don't think we do. But at the same time, we want to be in a position that we are fair in our zoning representation. And if we're gonna get something, we're gonna get something where the township residents and all of us can say, okay, that is maybe not exactly what we want, it's not as good as if it remained farmland, but if we're moving on to some of the things that we have to provide for, that's a pretty good outcome.
Yeah, let's not just take the ostrich effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
I wanted to stay away from talking about specifics on data centers, because I sent a bunch of stuff around to response to what Todd sent there for you guys to look at. One of the there was actually a data center developer that reached out to a township in Adams County. It didn't go beyond the very, like, what do you guys think
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
this stage?
Yeah.
But it triggered them. We did some due diligence. We put some standards in place. And it happened at the same time we were also dealing with warehousing, and they were okay with accommodating them in the right districts, but they were concerned about the scale of structures
Yeah.
like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And how do you make it fit the property?
Yeah.
Like putting the 10-pound stuff into a 5-pound bag, but the property equivalent.
Yeah.
So we came up with it's a technique that's actually used in urban settings, called floor area ratio. It's like a decimal point, and the way to think of it is, they picked 30.3, which is 30%.
Okay.
They said 30%. You can have building square footage for for warehouse or data center equivalent to 30% of the property. That's it. Now, if you want that to be 30% in one story, fine. If you want it to be 30% in multiple stories, that's fine. That's where it gets into urban settings, where you have very tiny property and it might have a floor ratio of 5 because it's wanting person to go vertical.
Yeah.
The effect in a rural township, though, is you have a 10-acre property, and whatever that works out to in square feet, 30% of that's all building size they get. Now there's your impervious coverage percentage works with that for the non-building side, and your stormwater comes in and everything. But the idea was how can we control the building size of some of these larger uses? So that's a technique that you can use to accommodate it, but not. Now, I know that it wasn't opposed, they weren't opposed to that, they wanted it bigger. I understand that.
Yeah.
They was bigger than the township was willing to accommodate. So there's things out there that you can use to help right size some of these uses. You're allowing the use, you don't
Yeah.
have to allow it to the extent that they want.
Yeah, the way the
There.
developer wants to
That's
do
what I
it.
was talking about. If we can put that kind of stuff in place where it still covers us, but I'm just concerned about the township getting into it's not gonna be a baseball training in the bowling alley. It's how many $1 trillion
Yeah.
companies here. We won't win that battle if we're not doing this right.
The other thing that is part of that I found out we found on the data centers was when they come in, one of the big, they'll talk about all the money that you're gonna get out of it. And I talked last month about how that doesn't necessarily help you because you don't get any of those benefits. But anytime in Adams County, or in this actually goes for any county out there, no quote figure is going to do an X amount of assessed value. It's going to bring in all this money based on the millage rates. Great. When was the reassessment? How many years ago was it? Because guess what? if it's, you know, $300 million assessed value in 2026 dollars, that's getting calculated back
That's
to
coming back, yeah.
date of your last assessment.
Yeah.
So in Adams County, that cut it in half. And instead of, you know, I think almost $6 million in tax revenue coming in, it was $3 million. Split three ways. All of a sudden, doesn't sound like such a good deal,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's some critical thinking plays into it, so. In any event, that's different thing for different day. In terms of next steps, what I'd like to hear tonight is, do you see anything in the descriptions of the rural mixed use, rural commercial industrial that you didn't like? Change or whatnot? And then some direction on
The map.
map, what approach you want me to take with the maps here.
Yeah, so, I think we all need a little more time on the districts, but this is the right start, let's say that. And then, because I certainly want more time on it, Ted isn't here, so I think let's take between now and the next meeting for all of us to have that part of the homework assignment, spend more time on that. But it's the right, I think we all agree, it's the right start. Let's go from there. As far as the map, I think we're probably gonna have to kind of do a little bit of a straw man approach and throw out some approaches. And I would offer that, we want to be cautious, we don't create any place where somebody thinks they can come in and put a massive data center or anything, a warehouse either. Because that's not the character of this township, and I think we're unanimous on that. But at the same time, do we want to be in a position where we want to welcome smaller businesses, where we may even we're not quite right for even a small data center, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially given other conditions around here. We're not that far from 3 Mile Island, and so there are ways of getting power here. So what I would say is maybe you got the 3 places, and neither of the 3, and your 3 red areas is what I'm referring to there. And I'm also throwing in let's just go to the board. You know, we have this, and then I guess we kind of have this, and then we have this. Yeah. And I wouldn't rule this out with the right set of conditions. And then we already have commercial development here. I think your idea of packaging this in whatever discussion into this probably makes sense. The thing I hate about this is the intersection, because you're so limited on what you can do up and down Old Harrisburg unless you're down at the bottom. And then I think this is a discussion worth having, especially because you kind of have the best intersection around. It's not in our township, but you kind of have the best intersection around to access this. As long as, again, we're talking about accessing it that way.
I think most of it needs to be on that.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am.
On the west side, 15?
Yeah. Now,
It gets ran up.
there's something to be said about the west side, or about White Church. I don't mean the west side. I mean White Church, since you already have commercial activity there.
Yeah.
But again, the road is narrow, and it has a bend. It has a very sharp bend
The
there.
intersection.
And the intersection is horrible.
Yeah.
We're dead. We have deaths there every year.
Yeah.
We could leave that what it already is and make it all on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those are the bigger parcels of land anyway.
Much
So
bigger,
them,
much bigger.
out of that
Yeah.
whole map, if
Yeah.
they're looking for big chunks, that's the only
That might
real
be where
spot
they
they
go.
got.
Yeah, I agree.
It's small up there, it's small up there.
And these are broken up. Yeah, I agree with that. That might be the place where something a little bigger makes sense. And I'm trying to address White Church too. The thing that's wrong about White Church is so many of those properties are split. We had it with the sports complex, and we will have it with any one of those. I think if we're gonna do a big project, and this is a big project for us, if we're gonna do a big project, we should address anywhere we have split properties.
And my operating goal that I give to my GS person who helps me with this is, I'll draw it, and then I'll tell her, you know, as you're doing this, if you see something
Yeah.
that is split, you fix it and show me, and I'll call it out so I can discuss it.
All right.
So we do not split unless you tell us to.
Well, do you unsplit when you have the opportunity? I mean,
Well,
that's part of my
I'm
part.
looking at it this way, forget what, I don't want to say forget what your current zoning is,
Yeah.
but if things are split now, forget about it, because we're not approaching it that way
Right,
this time.
right.
You know, we're
Okay.
approaching it with the approach, we're gonna stick to existing property lines.
Okay.
Like, I'll use that bottom there for an example of White Church. If, taking that approach, like we're starting blank slate, if we kept the commercial all on the west side of 15,
So like come right down White Church and over.
No, you mean the west side of
no, I mean,
15.
make 15 the boundary.
Instead of the west side of White Church, the west side of
Yeah.
15.
So bring it down like this?
Yep, and kept that all over there. What does
Hypothetically.
that impact the businesses that are there? Will they be able to continue to operate?
It makes
They're
it not-
grandfathered in.
My answer would be yes. We don't want to take anybody out of
That's
this.
what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
don't wanna jeopardize the
Yeah.
businesses that are there,
That's
but,
right.
But you're not incentivizing you.
right.
Maybe. Yeah, generally, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But
just
there
asking
could be
in general.
places on White Church that make sense to have
Right, I'm just
small
asking.
business.
And even,
Another thing is though, you wanna sort of, it's okay to have grandfathered, properties, but you wanna limit it.
Right.
You want, if it's already a commercial type of property, you want another commercial property to come in and redevelop if they,
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't wanna take out what's already commercial, like, I don't know
so
if we
we also
wanna,
at least one project that's
Yeah.
in pursuit in that setting that's based on that commercial.
What?
The
You act like I know.
place,
I know.
the thing, the company from Dillsburg.
Tam?
Oh, yeah. But they're in a commercial zone.
Now.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't undo that.
Right.
Yeah. I take your point. Yeah.
That was a split property that is now all commercial.
Correct.
Right.
You got it.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, really, if you look at White Church, there's not a whole lot of other property left there,
Yeah.
to be real.
Yeah.
So if you come down 15, right to the top of right there, block that over and come down and pick up Tam,
Yeah,
I mean,
follow what's there and leave.
follow what's there and let the rest of White Church be.
Yeah. Because you get south of Tam, and you're not in our township.
No,
Yeah. Except for, I think, one property, a small. So what I said, as the straw man, be the first person to say, how about this? So everybody can say, no, that's dumb. Reaction to that from the planning commission, does that seem like a start to let
I-
Andy's team go to that?
what I see down there is what's commercial already. Leave that, follow that line, and then,
Okay.
Yeah, right to.
And then look at the other two places to kind of see what's viable
Same
and what
way,
isn't. Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that a starting point for you?
Okay, so,
Is it too much?
no, so what I'll do here is, let me zoom back out here. The yellow districts, those are easy to pull. We might argue about property too, but those are relatively easy to draw.
Okay.
This one's relatively easy to draw.
What would you do when you say relatively easy to draw? What are you drawing? What do you mean?
Clean up property lines.
Keeping it to property lines.
So you're not
It's very,
splitting it.
Oh, I see.
it's very clear
Yes.
that
Okay.
which properties
All
by
right.
size go
Yes.
into those settings.
Gotcha.
It's not like down here where we're talking about
right,
Right. That's-
I'm with you.
multiple different variations where the line's gonna go.
And access on different roads
Right.
and everything else. Yes,
The
okay,
ones that are gonna be tricky to draw are this area down here,
okay.
this district here, this residential district, we haven't talked about it, but that, I'm telling you right now, that one's gonna be a little trickier to draw than you think it is.
Okay, why?
No, it's some big properties. in
There's some
there
big properties, and where do you wanna draw the line?
that- Right.
Okay.
That I'm looking
And,
at.
I suspect that current district there is not following property line.
No, it's not.
No,
They
it's-
went-
That's just a line.
No, it isn't.
And the thing is,
And that's Orchard all the way up against the house.
it's the most logical place to put it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I get
But-
that. But it's big
How-
chunks.
Well, right, if you keep the property lines, it's gonna go in funky directions.
Yeah.
And which properties do you want to put in and which ones don't you want to put in? Now you picking winners and losers type of thing, or maybe losers and winners, depending on the property owner's perspective.
Yeah,
But that was gonna be a little trickier than you think.
okay,
Um,
good point.
So perhaps what I'll do next is I'll focus on some scenarios for this setting,
Okay,
this setting,
okay,
and this setting.
okay,
I'll leave this one out for the time being,
okay,
because I think that if we come back to discuss these three, that's gonna be more than enough.
Okay.
But what I'm also going to do is start looking at the property sizes and the acreage and things like that in
okay,
there
good.
to see what we have in those, like in here. Do we have enough properties, enough size?
Yeah,
to accommodate things?
that's was my concern.
Because if we
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
then
Then you may have to
we're
look
gonna
at
have
that.
to go over here
Okay.
to do that.
All right, fair enough.
Now, the flip side, there might be uses where this setting over here might be more beneficial,
Couldn't agree more.
because
I think the
it
same thing.
might stick out,
Yep,
but it's also far enough away from
yep.
the borough that it might not be as the impacts might not be as objectionable.
Couldn't agree more.
That, I know there's my professional counterparts, so he's in heresy for saying that, but that's just the practical reality.
Yes, it is, and especially when you consider intersections. I will tell you,
Oh, yeah.
if you came to me now and said, my job is to put 100,000 square foot, and that's not even that big, 100,000 square foot, something, data center or something else in this township, my first point is the one you just said, because I got 94, and I can get up to 15, and I can get down south into Hanover. I do not, and I can get up into Carlisle. I do not have the challenges that I do in these other intersections, narrow roads, and people complaining about me. So I have exactly that point, and that would be my starting point as an investor.
The only for some of that is proximity to the school.
I know.
Yeah.
But still, it's, but,
Yes.
so that's.
I'll take that
What
up with
I
the school board.
suggest for this time is, while you guys look through this,
Yeah.
just make sure you're okay with
Okay,
that.
yeah,
So
good.
if I could backtrack on that, though, all this talk is to provide for everything, but try not to attract it. So if you're providing in the other places, the intersections and the hassle and the nightmare of all that, that's a
That would work to our
deterrent.
benefit
Yeah,
to
I'm
make 'em-
agreeing with that. Yeah, I'm agreeing with that.
I don't wanna make this
My
attractive.
point is, an argument may say, you didn't provide for me.
But if we're providing it out
That's a
here,
big if. If we are, then yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mark-
And Andy made that point.
Well, that's why I want to
Yeah.
go to this next step's going to be looking at the parcel sizes.
To see if we are
Doing
providing
here,
for it. So
is
I
to
agree with
make
that.
sure that we have there's big enough properties in there
Yeah.
that we're not
not
excluding it by
Excluding, okay.
by design instead of by intent.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's possible. But let's look at it, because I agree with you.
Because
That
just
was
from
part of my point.
the court's perspective,
That's attractive.
Right, yeah.
Maybe
very
too
much so.
attractive. Yeah, maybe too attractive.
if you're excluding it by ordinance, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're excluding it by, proxy,
Yeah,
it might still be frowned on, but it's frowned on differently.
yes.
That's the best, I don't know, I can't think of legal terms, that's the best way I can come up with it, but.
Yeah.
So that's what so those settings there, I'll try to, come up with some alternatives maps there to look at it and analysis, look at those settings.
All right.
I'm gonna hand out one last thing here, so because I did it and I have it. And this is more of a preview of how we're gonna approach things after we have the map in place. This is a big list of, you look at a zoning ordinance and you have 3 or 4 districts, you have these big long lists of uses, or you might see a table that looks like this with a bunch of check marks and whatnot in it. When we really boil it down to, this generally speaking covers probably 95% of the uses that most ordinances have. I've broken them down into types: ag, commercial, industrial, residential, institutional, and accessory types of uses. When you're going through this, looking at these descriptions,
Yeah.
Perhaps this will help think about what types of use you could see in there. Because what I'm planning to do is, once we have the map, once we have the zoning districts in place, is like go through these uses, and if you have, say, 5 or 6 districts, okay, which districts do you see this use fitting in? And we'll build the use table by looking at the whole picture of those types of uses.
Good idea.
There. And that way they can see, okay, well, in the commercial uses, this use is fine in the highway commercial district, but we don't want this in the rural commercial, or vice versa.
Yep.
That's I put it together this way, because once it's easier to think about it when you can see the whole list of everything there. Again, not ready to use this yet, but it's a tool that you have to look at and use.
Are these all the ones that have definitions in our code now?
No.
Where'd these come from?
It's a combination of, so the ones that are in bold
They're
and
the
black
ones we have.
are ones that you have.
Okay. Thank you.
The ones that are not are ones that
They're not bold.
are not, or that have come from other
Okay,
ones that
so
are written.
they have been used, but we didn't.
Right, ones with
Okay.
asterisks behind it are ones that are typically found in multiple districts. So like, you see greenhouse,
We have them in multiple districts?
no, but others.
Oh, okay, because I didn't think we did.
The
Okay.
greenhouse
all
can be
right.
an ag use.
Yes, it can, and a commercial
It can be a
use.
commercial use.
Yeah, exactly.
Type
I'm
of
with you.
thing.
Okay.
So, again, it's not, it's as exhaustive as I can make it after going through
Which
all
is-
the
which
models
is good.
that we've done.
Yeah.
So it's just something to think about, use as you're looking through the zoning, potential zoning districts. So if you wanna think about,
Okay.
kind of what might fit there, if that helps in your review.
It will.
So,
Okay.
That's-
Anything else for us tonight?
I mean, I think I have enough work.
Yeah.
People busy for the next month.
And
so.
look, I appreciate, and you don't even get a month, you get 3 weeks this time. Because of the holiday.
You better.
Yeah. All of us only get 3 weeks. So I'll make 2 then, thank you, before we open up for public comment. 2 comments. One is, I want to specifically thank you, Andy, for the work that you're doing. This is tremendously helpful. There are a few places where we would get the support from county planning like we get from Andy. The second is that, please, I offer, please do your homework that we discussed this time around so we can be better informed, more efficient, and really move forward. This is a big project, 2 big projects, writing something for data centers is a big project in and of itself. Looking at the same time at zoning, a zoning overlay for the township is a big project. So we kind of, market conditions gave us one, the data centers, and, well, market conditions certainly contributed to the second one, but that's a little bit more voluntary, but it is the right time for us to do that. So, before we open to public comment, anything from planning commissioners, comments otherwise at this point? Okay.
I
Yes.
just have a minute question. Do you want me to retype all this for the minutes, or can I say,
By
see
reference.
the attached?
By reference, don't,
Okay.
don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't do
Yeah.
that.
Okay, I just
Yes.
wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, if Kyle was doing the minutes, we should have it returned.
I wouldn't do that either.
No, do it by reference.
Okay.
All right, public comments. Yes,
Just a clarification, the map that was handed out, it's the same map that was handed out last month? Were there any updates or changes? I may have missed it.
Yeah, let me put this back in.
No, you don't have to, just let me know.
Yes. It was.
Yes or
it was-
no?
Yes.
Okay.
In two areas.
No, I'll just go compare it, that's not a problem. Thank you.
all right. That it? Okay, all right, yes, sir.
Jeff Decker, Old Harrisburg Road.
Yes.
Your topic on the bad intersections. As a resident of Old Harrisburg Road, I'm a little disappointed that the intersection Old Harrisburg Road in New York Springs wasn't taken into consideration when we left that monster JVI moving in right up the road from that intersection. I just wanted to express my feelings.
Well, taken into consideration by whom?
What's this?
Taken into consideration by whom?
What do you mean?
Who should have taken, you're disappointed in who?
Planning Commission,
Well, the plan, that's,
supervisors.
okay. There, I take your point, I'm not disagreeing with, but when you get into a situation of redoing an intersection or something like that, we're not in the position of disallowing a permitted use because an intersection is tough. That has to come, then you're involving PennDOT, you're involving another jurisdiction entirely, the borough. So it's not as simple as saying we should have stopped that.
Okay. All right, I see where you're coming from. But I want everybody to know, I don't care if I'm on camera or what, that we're talking about intersections and the like.
Yes, we are.
And my rear end is still chapped about this JVI thing.
Okay.
These trucks, I don't know if you drove by and looked at the back parking lot of that place.
I look at it all the time. I'm
Well,
driving.
they're about ready to unleash hell with these trucks on that road. And you're talking about zoning that road right now. And I
Yeah.
just want my feelings to be known.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Part of
Andy,
the
you-
problem
Go ahead.
with that was, and why they jumped on that so quick is because that was commercial to start with. And it was one of the only lots on there that was commercial, so
Yeah.
we didn't have the power that we do now to take that into consideration. And
Well,
then
we-
unfortunately, the
Well-
state does the traffic study
Yeah.
about what's going in and out there, and at that point, we can't really do anything.
Cody, we don't have the power now to tell somebody they can't use something that's a permitted.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's
Especially
what
when
I'm
it's
saying.
on a state
Yeah.
road.
That's what I was saying,
Yeah,
that was
so
already
there's-
commercial.
There's a lot
so-
of complex factors, and I'm not saying you don't have a right to be upset about it, you do. Complain to the right people, I guess, and we're some of the right people, I get that. And we're a place where you can come and make your point. But I just want you to understand who controls what. Because a lot of residents will spend a lot of energy complaining to the people who can't actually help them with what they're complaining about. So that's all. Yes, Andy, you want to make a
So
comment?
I believe, as part of their occupancy permit with PennDOT, that the large equipment is not allowed to go down towards York Springs.
No, they've been
That
explicitly.
that has to go south to Heidlersburg.
Which is a pretty good intersection these
Yeah,
days.
that's,
Yeah.
my understanding, that was
don't follow
what their
that.
conditions were with PennDOT. If they're not doing that, then that's something that needs to be raised with PennDOT. Now, whether they are or not, I don't know.
But PennDOT would be your enforcement agency, they're not us.
I think the low boys, the trail of low boys are supposed to go to Heidelberg and come in from Heidelberg off of 234.
They're all supposed to.
Yeah.
The tri-axles, that's a little bit, they're shortened to make the turn, but the big ones on the original thing were supposed to come the other way, I thought.
That's what.
Again, that's PennDOT, that's not,
Never
yeah.
seen one.
I have one comment.
Yes,
Has
sir.
there been anything that floated around above the Watts property on Oxford Road?
I don't know which property that is. I can't-
That's the one that the Watts property was down here.
The
It got
house.
subdivided,
Oh.
the house is up
Yeah.
back, and I hear there's some things, I'm just,
There's been movement up there.
there's movement, there's some things going on, and
I have no knowledge
I
of
know,
that.
but
Anybody?
there's some things floating around. a little
Okay,
bit.
well then, I would suggest we ask our zoning officer to, the
Keep an
Watts,
eye on it, because it's-
look at the Watts property.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I don't know who owns it, it's the two retired
Watts.
military people own the basic Watts property, and then the other house was up back, and they had a shared driveway, and,
On Oxford.
yes.
Yeah, we had.
I don't know.
We had
went
did some
through
of that
before.
last year.
I don't know what.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, it's, okay,
Texas.
noted, yes, sir.
I would ask that the planning commission please take into consideration the zoning that we're about to implement. The truck traffic, that the residents of that road, that section.
Old Harrisburg Road. Okay, okay.
That's what I.
That's a great comment, and that's one of our jobs, so
Thank you.
we're happy to address that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else?
I had one thing as well. This was intersection as well. I've had this happen twice in the last month since our meeting. I wanted to open it up to everyone to see if they've had any problems with us. The entrance ramp onto 15 going southbound. I believe it's the only
Where?
entrance ramp, York Spring, sorry,
So the stop sign.
the stop sign. Now, every other entrance ramp is a yield. That one I believe went to a stop.
It has been a stop.
It has been a stop for a while. The first time I was almost sideswiped from my driver's side when they went around me because I was stopped before I was merging. There's not a lot of site clearance there. You have to stop to be able to.
No, you
And
better
there's no
stop.
merge either.
No, but they're,
The second time it happened, someone actually went around me again and almost caused a two-vehicle collision merging onto 15. Now, I know this is technically probably maintained by the state, it's federally owned, but I didn't know if anyone else was having problems with that before, I guess I went to PennDOT to file a complaint.
Not problems, but I can give you some background on what's happened, what cars are there. And it starts with, is you ever notice that there's no Jersey barriers over
Yeah.
the bridge?
Yep,
The bridge is two halves, not one, it's two.
yep,
They can't put Jersey barriers on there because the weight won't support it.
okay.
To split the median, that's why it's that. The ramps can't be extended.
Well, the stop, I understand the
Yeah,
stop.
because of the.
The only thing I just, and maybe I just got unlucky that it happened twice this month, but and it was local people too. I don't know how local they were. They had PA plates, but I would assume maybe they didn't know.
It's on all I can say is it's on the list of changes to address
Yeah.
there.
That's what we do.
The perspective that we've taken, and the MPO's perspective we've taken is, because the fix, the ramps, you can't do the ramps on the south side without doing the bridge.
Right.
You know, the north side was addressed, the project, there a little bit, and it was designed a little bit to tie into what would happen on the south side, but the south ramps can't be fixed unless
There's no road.
the bridge
There's no road.
there. So, with the plan, in theory, is to address both the bridge and the ramps at the same time.
Okay.
Ideally, it would also bring in, that's the project where we'd also bring in the South Ridge Road, of taking that down to 94 and cutting off that at grade there and eliminating that the plan, that is the plan in theory.
Okay.
The
I'll
devil in the
go
details
up to
there
Heidelberg
is.
merch until that happens.
I mean,
I don't know what else to do.
Well, and again, it's not our issue. Okay,
it's one that we intend that are aware of. The answer is always is money.
Yeah.
So,
so I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Made and seconded, any more discussion? Okay, I would ask for a vote. All in favor?
Bye.
Any objections, nay? We stand adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me. We'll get Ted back.